In the soft lavender glow of twilight, a small craft pierced the atmosphere of Earth with a silent grace that belied its desperate circumstances. Inside, cradled by the dim hum of its failing engines, was Lisa. Her skin shimmered with a subtle iridescence, a stark contrast to the dark, cramped interior of her escape pod. She was an Arari, a species known across the galaxy for their beauty and rarity. But now, she was simply a refugee, a lost girl far from home. The pod shuddered as it made its final descent, landing softly in the dense woods of northern Canada. The hatch opened with a hiss, releasing steam into the cold air, and Lisa stepped out. Her delicate feet touched the earth. The ground was soggy, the air filled with the scent of pine and wet earth. The forest seemed to hold its breath as she looked around, her wide, luminous eyes reflecting the starry sky above. Unbeknownst to her, her arrival had been detected. Not far from the crash site, a local by the name of Jack, an outdoorsman and a loner by nature, noticed the odd light descending through the sky. Driven by curiosity and concern, he approached the site, his steps careful and quiet. As Jack neared the clearing, he spotted Lisa. The sight of her, so obviously alien yet unmistakably vulnerable, stirred something protective in him. He cleared his throat, stepping into the moonlight. "Hello there," he called out gently. "Are you all right?" Lisa turned, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and curiosity. Her voice, when she spoke, carried the melody of distant stars. I am lost," she admitted, her accent strange and musical. Jack nodded, understanding her plight more than she could imagine. "You're safe here," he reassured her. "I can help you." Over the next few days, Jack introduced Lisa to his simple life. His small, rustic cabin became her sanctuary. He taught her about Earth, about its customs and creatures. Lisa was a quick learner, her alien mind absorbing information like a sponge. In turn, she shared tales of her planet, Arari, a world of vast oceans and floating islands, a stark contrast to the rugged landscapes of Earth. As they spent time together, a bond formed between them. Jack, who had always felt disconnected from his fellow humans, found in Lisa a kindred spirit. And Lisa, in her loneliness and displacement, found a protector, a friend. But their peaceful existence was not to last. Unseen in the shadows, government agents had been tracking the alien arrival. Lisa's presence on Earth was no longer a secret, and forces were mobilizing to capture her for reasons unknown to her and Jack. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and red, Jack and Lisa sat by the lake near the cabin. Lisa had just finished explaining the concept of the devoted, a role in her society akin to both princess and priestess, tasked with maintaining the spiritual and ecological balance of her world. "You are a devoted?" Jack asked, his tone a mix of awe and concern. "Yes," Lisa nodded, her gaze on the shimmering water. "And that is why they will come for me. My people, my world, they depend on me. And here, I am powerless to help them." Jack looked at her, determined. "We'll figure something out. We'll keep you safe," he promised. But as the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, the tranquility of the moment was shattered by the sound of approaching vehicles. The hunt for the alien princess had begun. The chapter closes as Jack and Lisa, aware of the impending danger, prepare to flee into the night, uncertain of what the future holds, but resolute in their determination to protect one another. The night was dense with the whispers of the wind, rustling through the leaves as Jack and Lisa hastened away from the safety of the cabin. Jack led, his familiarity with the terrain his only advantage over the agents who were now undoubtedly closing in on them. They moved silently, avoiding the crunch of dry leaves, aware that every sound could betray their presence to their pursuers. Jack paused, crouching low beside a large boulder. "We need to cover our tracks," he murmured, scanning the shadowy forest. He reached into his bag, pulling out a handful of local herbs he knew would confuse scent-tracking dogs. Lisa watched him, her mind racing, her body tense with the urgency of their escape. They pressed on, the ground rising beneath their feet as they approached the foothills of a mountain range. Lisa's alien physique, while graceful and capable, was not accustomed to the Earth's gravity, causing her to tire more quickly than Jack. Sensing her fatigue, Jack took her hand, offering silent encouragement. Their eyes met in the moonlight, her gratitude mingling with his determination. As dawn painted the sky with strokes of pink and orange, they found a secluded cave, sheltered by overhanging rocks and hidden behind a veil of thick vines. It was a temporary refuge, a place to rest before continuing their relentless push for safety. Inside the cave, Lisa collapsed against the cool stone, her breaths shallow and rapid. Jack was immediately at her side, his hand on her back, feeling the unusual warmth of her skin. "Just rest," he said softly. The urgency of their situation pressed upon him, but he knew they could not move again until she had recovered. Lisa's mind was a whirlwind of thoughts. She was far from just a refugee. She was a keeper of balance for her world, carrying knowledge and powers that could tip the scales in any cosmic conflict. Her abilities, though diminished on Earth, still pulsed within her, a connection to her home planet that she could neither deny nor fully comprehend in her current state. As she rested, Jack ventured outside to scout the area. He moved with caution, aware that every moment in the open was a risk. Returning shortly, he brought back water and a few edible berries he had gathered. "We're clear for now, but we can't stay long," he informed her, his voice low. Lisa nodded, pushing herself to stand. She felt a newfound strength, fueled not only by her need to survive, but also by her desire to protect the man who had risked everything for her. "I can mask our presence," she said, her voice steadier. "Arari magic. We can blend with the natural energies of your world, at least temporarily." Jack watched in awe as Lisa extended her arms, her palms facing the rock walls of the cave. A gentle luminescence flowed from her fingertips, weaving intricate patterns in the air. The light danced like motes of dust in sunlight, settling on the surfaces of their hideout and cloaking it in an almost imperceptible shimmer. "Will it hold?" Jack asked, his eyes scanning the cave. "It will for now," Lisa assured him. "But we need to move north. There's a place I feel drawn to, perhaps another of my kind, or maybe something else that can help us." Trusting her instincts, Jack nodded. They prepared to leave, packing their sparse belongings with swift, efficient movements. As they stepped out of the cave, the first rays of the sun filtered through the trees, casting long shadows on the ground. Their journey north was marked by close calls and narrow escapes. They avoided roads and populated areas, moving mostly under the cover of darkness. Lisa's strength grew with each passing day, her adaptation to Earth's environment becoming evident in her quickened pace and longer endurance. One evening, as they neared the border of a vast, untouched wilderness, Lisa paused, her expression pensive. She turned to Jack, her eyes gleaming with a mix of fear and resolve. "Something powerful is calling to me from these woods. It's not just refuge we might find, but answers." Jack took her hand, squeezing it reassuringly. "Then that's where we'll go," he declared. Together they stepped into the dense forest, the unknown depths promising both sanctuary and revelation. The forest was ancient, its towering trees knotted with age, their roots deep and sprawling. The air was thick with the scent of moss and the musty damp of decayed leaves. As Jack and Lisa ventured deeper, the canopy above wove a dense tapestry of green, filtering the sunlight into emerald shards that barely touched the ground. Every step seemed to echo in the quiet, watched by unseen eyes of the forest's myriad creatures. Lisa moved with increasing confidence, her senses attuned to the subtle energies of the earth. She felt the pulsations of the land, a network of life and spirit woven through the soil and stone. Here she sensed a connection not felt since her departure from Arari. She stopped occasionally, closing her eyes and reaching out with her mind, feeling for the mysterious call that had drawn them to this remote expanse. Jack kept watch, his eyes scanning the shadows for signs of pursuit or danger. He had grown used to the constant tension, a readiness to react that had become second nature over the days of their escape. Despite this, he found himself drawn to the alien beauty of the forest, a world so different from the civilized landscapes he once roamed alone. As they navigated through a particularly dense thicket, Lysa halted abruptly. Her hand shot out, grabbing Jack's arm. "Something's ahead," she whispered, her voice a mix of excitement and caution. Her eyes glinted with a reflection of the little light that filtered down to them. Pushing forward, they came to a clearing that seemed out of place amidst the dense undergrowth. It was perfectly circular, the grass a vivid green that swayed gently even though there was no breeze. At the center stood an obelisk, made of a stone that shimmered with an internal light, its surface covered in symbols that resonated with Lysa's heritage. "It's a marker," Lysa breathed, her voice barely above a whisper. "A beacon of sorts, used by my people to guide or warn." "What does it warn against?" Jack asked, his gaze fixed on the glowing stone. Lysa approached the obelisk, her fingers tracing the symbols. "Not a warning, a welcome." She smiled faintly. "It means we're not alone here." They spent the night by the obelisk, under Lysa's magical veil of concealment. As the darkness deepened, Lysa shared more of her past with Jack. She spoke of her duties as a devoted, of the ceremonies and the sacred bonds she formed with the life forces of her planet, and how these forces were echoed in the energies she felt on Earth. The next morning, as the first rays of light seeped into the clearing, they were greeted by a sight neither had expected. Standing on the perimeter of the clearing were beings like Lysa, their forms ethereal and shifting, as if made from the morning mist itself. Lysa stepped forward, her expression one of mixed joy and reverence. "My kin," she announced, her voice steady. "I didn't escape alone. They've been here, waiting, protecting this place." Jack watched in silent awe as the beings approached, their movements graceful and fluid. They spoke in a language he couldn't understand, their voices like the wind through leaves, but the warmth of their welcome was unmistakable. As the group communicated, Jack learned through Lysa's translations that these Arari had been on Earth for centuries, guardians of an ancient pact made long before humans had written their histories. They had sensed Lysa's arrival, her plight, and had helped guide her to this sanctuary. Under their protection, Jack and Lysa found not just refuge, but a new purpose. Lysa, with her kin's guidance, began to explore the depth of her powers on Earth, finding ways to bridge the gap between her world and her new home. Jack, ever the protector, took on the role of liaison, learning the ways of the Arari and helping to integrate their presence into the world he knew. Together, they stood at the cusp of a new understanding, a convergence of cosmic and earthly destinies, ready to face whatever challenges might come, not as fugitives, but as pioneers of a new symbiosis between worlds. The integration of Arari and human realities was no minor feat, and as Jack and Lysa delved deeper into this uncharted alliance, challenges both external and internal began to surface. The presence of the Arari on Earth was a secret too significant to remain hidden indefinitely. The global intelligence agencies, having lost track of Lysa, intensified their efforts, their search becoming more desperate and less discreet. Jack, ever vigilant, noticed the subtle signs of their approach. Unfamiliar vehicles on remote roads, unusual flight patterns overhead, the faint buzz of surveillance drones that blended almost seamlessly with the local fauna. "We need to be ready," he cautioned one evening, as he and Lysa sat with her kin beneath the ancient obelisk. The Arari, serene as always, nodded in agreement, their faces alight with the glow of the setting sun. In response, the Arari elders convened a council, inviting Jack to join. Around them, the forest seemed to listen, the ancient trees standing as silent witnesses to the decisions being made. "The time has come to reveal ourselves," one elder stated, her voice echoing softly in the minds of all present. "Earth must see that we come not as conquerors or threats, but as allies." Lysa, feeling the weight of her role more than ever, supported the decision. "We will show them that our technologies, our knowledge, can help heal this world, not harm it," she declared. Jack, looking around at the gathered Arari, felt a surge of pride for the courage they displayed, a stark contrast to the often fear-driven reactions of his own kind. Preparations began. Lysa and her kin crafted messages, using their deep understanding of Earth's natural and human systems to formulate offers of assistance in ecological restoration, sustainable energy, and medical advancements. They planned demonstrations of their benign technologies, designed to integrate seamlessly with Earth's environments. Meanwhile, Jack worked on establishing a communication network, reaching out to his old contacts who stood on the fringes of science and environmental activism. "We need advocates," he explained to Lisa, "voices that will speak of our intentions with truth and clarity." As the day of disclosure approached, tensions rose. News of strange occurrences, mysterious lights in the sky, unexplainable patterns of wildlife behavior began to leak. Speculation abounded on social media, drawing the attention of conspiracy theorists and skeptics alike. On the eve of the planned revelation, Jack and Lisa stood at the edge of the forest, looking out at the world that was still unaware of how profoundly it might change. "Are you ready?" Jack asked, taking Lisa's hand. Lisa nodded, her eyes reflecting the stars above. "For better or worse, the truth will set us free," she replied. The following morning, as the world watched through various screens and broadcasts, the Arari made their presence known. Their ships, elegant and almost organic in design, appeared over major cities, causing awe and alarm. But it was the message, broadcasted in every language, that captured the world's attention. A promise of peace and shared knowledge, a plea for unity and cooperation. The response was as varied as humanity itself. While many embraced the Arari and their offers, others reacted with fear and hostility. Debates erupted at all levels of society, from street corners to the floors of the United Nations. Amidst this global upheaval, Jack and Lisa found themselves at the heart of a movement that was as much about diplomacy as it was about survival. They met with leaders, mediated conflicts, and addressed the public fears, all the while supported by the wisdom and patience of the Arari. As they navigated these tumultuous waters, Lisa's connection to Earth deepened. She began to see patterns and possibilities not just for a temporary alliance, but for a permanent integration of her people with this vibrant, chaotic world. Jack, seeing her transformation and the potential for a true cosmic fraternity, felt hope that the future could be something neither species had dared to dream. As the world grappled with the reality of the Alari's presence, the initial shockwaves began to subside, replaced by a cautious curiosity. The Arari, for their part, continued their demonstrations of goodwill, assisting in disaster relief efforts and providing technologies that significantly advanced human efforts in renewable energy and medicine. This collaborative spirit helped to soften some of the skepticism and fear that had initially greeted their arrival. In the quieter moments, Lisa and Jack focused on building a more sustainable framework for human-Arari relations. They worked tirelessly, often through nights lit only by the soft glow of Arari light weaving. They formulated educational programs that aimed to integrate knowledge from both worlds, fostering a deeper understanding among Earth's populace about their new cosmic neighbors. Amid these grand schemes, personal stories of unity and friendship began to emerge. Humans who had worked alongside the Arari shared tales of their experiences, speaking of the aliens' deep empathy and profound connection to the natural world. These narratives, shared on social media and through traditional news outlets, painted a picture of hope and mutual respect that resonated with many. However, not all were swayed by tales of harmony. Dissenting groups, fueled by a deep-seated fear of the unknown, began to rally against the integration. They called for a reinstatement of borders and sovereignties, a preservation of human purity. Their voices grew louder, their gatherings larger, casting a shadow over the burgeoning alliance. Lisa felt each surge of hostility as a personal affront, not only to her presence but to her intentions. She stood firm, her resolve hardened by the challenges she faced. "We must not falter," she told Jack during one of their strategy sessions. "For every voice that sows division, there must be another that champions unity." Jack, witnessing the strain on Lisa and feeling the weight of their responsibility, organized a global summit, inviting leaders, influencers, and representatives from both species. The summit, held in a city that had benefited greatly from Arari technologies, was broadcast worldwide, aiming to showcase the successes and address the challenges head-on. During the summit, Lisa took the stage, her presence commanding and serene. She spoke not only of the benefits that the Arari brought, but also of the richer, more diverse culture that an integrated society could foster. Fear of the unknown is natural, she acknowledged, but so is curiosity, so is the desire to grow and learn. Let us not be defined by our fears, but inspired by our potential. Her words, wise and heartfelt, reached many. But the summit also provided a platform for the dissenters, who articulated their concerns about cultural erosion and the loss of human autonomy. The debates were heated, passionate, and sometimes painful, but necessary. In the days following the summit, public opinion was a mosaic of thought and emotion. Schools began to introduce programs about Arari culture and technology, while protest movements continued to gather momentum. Jack and Lisa, standing together, knew that the path to true integration would be long and fraught with obstacles. But they also knew that the foundation they were building was strong, supported by genuine instances of understanding and cooperation. As they planned their next steps, focusing on areas where Arari intervention could be most beneficial without overwhelming local cultures, they also prepared for the inevitable backlash. Security measures were enhanced, and communication channels kept open and transparent to avoid misunderstandings that could lead to conflict. Throughout this period of adjustment, the world began to realize that the arrival of the Arari was not an end, but a beginning. It was the dawn of a new epoch, where Earth was no longer isolated in the cosmos, but part of a larger, more intricate tapestry of life. Lisa and Jack, together with countless others who believed in the promise of this new era, continued to work, to dream and to forge a future that would honor both the heritage of Earth and the gifts of the stars. As the Earth adjusted to its new celestial partners, the fusion of human and Arari cultures reached a deeper level of complexity and creativity. Artistic expressions flourished, combining Arari aesthetic elements with human artistic traditions, resulting in a series of collaborative art forms, music, and literature that resonated with elements of both worlds. This cultural renaissance served as a bridge, helping to soften resistance and open hearts to the potential of a shared future. Educational exchanges became the norm, with Arari scholars teaching at Earth's universities and human students attending seminars held aboard Arari vessels. These exchanges deepened mutual understanding and fostered a generation of youth who were as familiar with the landscapes of Alara as they were with Earth. Their dual perspective equipped them uniquely to tackle the challenges of a society straddling two vastly different civilizations. Meanwhile, the dissenting voices remained a significant challenge. A pivotal moment came when a human-Arari hybrid project threatened to become a flashpoint. This initiative, aimed at exploring the biological compatibility of Earth and Arari flora for agricultural enhancement, was met with fierce opposition from groups fearing genetic contamination. Lisa, understanding the delicacy of the situation, addressed the world in a broadcast that was simultaneously translated into all major languages. She emphasized respect for autonomy and choice, assuring that no project would proceed without thorough public consultation and consent. Her address, calm yet firm, helped to quell the rising tensions, though it did not completely dissolve the skepticism. Jack's role as a mediator became more crucial than ever. He facilitated dialogues between Arari representatives and human leaders, ensuring that each party's concerns and aspirations were not only heard, but respected. His efforts were instrumental in establishing a series of treaties that outlined the terms of cooperation and coexistence, respectful of both planetary sovereignties. In the background, the subtle and often unnoticed work of the Arari to heal Earth's ravaged environments bore fruit. Regions once blighted by pollution and overuse began to recover, their ecosystems revitalizing under the careful interventions of Arari technology, combined with human ecological strategies. These success stories were highlighted in media, becoming a testament to what could be achieved together. As the 5th anniversary of the Arari's arrival approached, a grand celebration was planned, symbolizing the hope of this new era. The event was to be held at multiple sites around the globe, showcasing achievements in science, culture, and diplomacy. However, as the preparations reached their peak, an unforeseen threat surfaced, challenging the very foundation of human-Arari relations. a radical faction among the dissenters made a dramatic move, launching an attack on an Arari cultural center, causing damage and casualties. The world watched in horror as the news spread, a stark reminder of the fragility of peace. The incident tested the resolve of both communities, pushing them to the brink of a divisive fallout. Lysa and Jack responded by spearheading a movement for peace, refusing to retaliate with force, opting instead for transparency and justice through legal means. Their approach, focusing on reconciliation and the rule of law, eventually led to the de-escalation of the crisis, with many dissenters reconsidering their aggressive stance in the face of such dignified forbearance. The anniversary event transformed into a poignant blend of remembrance and celebration. It was not only a reflection on the progress made, but also a solemn remembrance of the journey's costs. The ceremonies were filled with moments of silence, artistic performances, and speeches that echoed the complex emotions of a world reborn through contact. As Jack and Lysa stood together, watching the mixed crowds of humans and Arari sharing stories, laughter, and tears, they realized that their mission was far from complete, but the path they had chosen was just and necessary. The final act of the event was the unveiling of a monument dedicated to unity and peace, inscribed with names of both humans and Arari who had worked, and some who had given their lives, for this cause. The monument stood as a beacon of hope and a reminder of the ongoing work required to maintain and nurture the fragile union of two worlds. As the sun set on the anniversary, the light reflecting off the monument's surface cast long shadows and brilliant highlights, a metaphor for the journey ahead, filled with challenges but also illuminated by the enduring promise of unity.